Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today NEXM just filed a Form 8K, and I'm seeing some interesting developments in their drilling program. Quick note, this is not financial advice, just my take on public filings for educational purposes. The company is reporting new assay results from their Botswana project, and they are calling it the Emerging Flexure Zone. NexMetals Mining Corp is in the basic materials sector, specifically other industrial metals and mining. Last year in December, they raised $80 million, which secured them title on 2 critical metal projects in Botswana. The current price for NexMetals is not available, but its 52-week range was between $2.13 to $6.65. The market cap for NexMetals is $77 million. Their last headline in June this year said an insider bought 21% more stock, and then another headline in June said insiders reevaluated their $941,000 stock purchase. Another news item from July added NexMetals Mining Corp to the SEDP Fensex Venture Composite Index. So what we have here is a report that NexMetals Mining Corp released on the 22nd of July 2026. This report talks about the results from their drilling program in Botswana. They are specifically looking at an area they are calling the Emerging Flexure Zone, which is part of a larger deposit called Celebi Main. This is part of a big drilling effort planned to be 30,000 meters long. Now, this next part is super important for anyone looking at mining companies. They are talking about terms like mineral resources, indicated mineral resources, and inferred mineral resources. These terms have very specific meanings under Canadian rules called NI 43-101. Basically, it is a way for them to tell you what they think is in the ground. The thing to remember is that these are not guarantees. Inferred resources, for example, are the least certain. You cannot assume they will ever be turned into actual mineable reserves, or that they can be mined economically or legally. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, or the SEC, also has its own rules called SK 1300, which are similar but not exactly the same as the Canadian rules. So, even if they report these resources under Canadian rules, there is no guarantee they will be considered the same under the SEC's rules. It's a bit like comparing apples and oranges sometimes. Investors are cautioned not to assume that any part or all of these resources will be economically viable. Looking at their stock registration, their common shares are traded under the symbol NEXM on the Nasdaq stock market LLC, specifically the Nasdaq capital market. This tells us they are a publicly traded company in the US. This part is about the news release itself. They are just confirming that the news release about the drill results is being made public. They are including it as an exhibit to this filing. They also mention they do not have an obligation to update or change anything about that news release. And here, they are listing the exhibits included with this filing. The main one is Exhibit 99.1, which is the press release they issued on the 22nd of July 2026. There is also an exhibit for interactive data files related to the cover page. Finally, we have the signatures. This confirms that the company NexMetals Mining Corp has officially filed this report. It is signed by Brett Mackay, who is their Chief Financial Officer. The date of the signature is the 24th of July 2026, just a couple of days after the press release. So, what is the big picture here? NexMetals is actively drilling and reporting positive assay results from a new zone in Botswana. This is the crucial activity for any mining company. However, as we discussed, the language around resources is intentionally cautious. Investors need to understand the difference between a potential resource and a mineable reserve. Given the company's market cap of $77 million and the fact that they recently had an insider buy a significant chunk of stock, these drilling results are being watched closely. The stock did have a pretty wide range in the past year, and with the market cap being relatively small, these kinds of exploration reports can really move the needle. The addition to the Fensex Venture Composite Index is also a positive sign of their growing profile. The risk I am watching is how these resources will be classified under SK 1300 versus NI 43-101. If the SEC classifies them differently, it could impact how investors perceive their value. What I am actually looking for is the follow. Up reports that detail the economics of potentially developing this flexure zone. Oh, and the research tools I actually use are linked in the description. They help keep this channel going. That is my take. Stay decoded if you like this video. Please like, subscribe, and join our Discord for more.